Hey folks, this clip is brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. For better coverage, better rates, and better service, go to fbhp.com/ATOZ. That is Farm Bureau Health Plans. Sports Illustrated dropped this article titled Hearing Scheduled for NCAA Infraction Case Against Former Tennessee Coaches. And it seems like the general gist of this is that Derek Ansley, Tennessee's former defensive coordinator, while all the nonsense was going on with Pruitt, and then, of course, Pruitt himself, are fighting this thing tooth and nail to try to clear their name. I mean, I can absolutely see this for Pruitt. I mean, the guy has no place anywhere other than, well, college football or high school football. He could drop down to high school football. But I'm going to say for a guy who in his time has made, $4 million a year as a head coach, he probably doesn't want to do that. Can't say I totally blame him. And probably wants to get back into college ball. Obviously, the talk was during this offseason that he was close. Alabama wanted him to be their defensive coordinator again, and they couldn't make it work. Who knows what the exact behind the scenes were there? SEC squashed it maybe, NCAA squashed it maybe, who knows? Or Alabama just did their due diligence and went, this is a little too toxic. But they're going to have this hearing in Cincinnati, of all places. But what's the quick rundown on this, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, basically, and Tennessee will have to be there too, or school officials from Tennessee, since they're involved in this and they're basically getting drugged into it. And this is holding up the resolution of all of this. I mean, Pruitt and Ansley basically aren't going away. They're not going to accept any deal from the NCAA. And I don't know if they're maintaining their innocence, if they want to bring down more people with them. I really don't know Pruitt's angle on this because there's so much evidence. It's so cut and dry. And I've spoken about this and I've written about it. I don't blame. I mean, Pruitt messed up, but he was helping a lot of families and stuff. It wasn't this just egregious spending and these outrageous violations. I mean, yeah, there were violations, but it wasn't. It wasn't on par with some of the things that we've seen in college sports. So, but he did do it. Evidence is there. It's pretty hard to deny. So I don't know what his angle is. Is he just trying to get his buyout money? Does he think that if the NCAA absolves him from all responsibility of this or includes Tennessee in it, that maybe he'll get some of that buyout? I'm guessing that's his angle on this, is it's financially related. I would assume part of it is the show calls deal because he does want to get back into college football. But I mean, people get show causes all the time. And we've seen people even hired with them. I don't think Alabama would hire him as a coordinator with the show calls, but you could go work in the NFL. He worked in the NFL for a year right after he got fired from Tennessee. I mean, he could go find a job as a defensive assistant at some NFL team. Maybe it's not as glamorous as what he wants or exactly what he wants. I think we all know he badly wants to be back at Alabama. I mean, that is his home. That's where he wants to be. Through all this, it leaves no doubt that had he had success at Tennessee and that Alabama job would have come open, he would have been gone in a quick minute to go back to that because that's just, it's in his blood. But I feel like for him, that's the angle. For Ansley, I have no clue what his angle is. He's an NFL guy. I mean, he's with the Chargers as a defensive coordinator. He was in the NFL before Pruitt brought him to Tennessee as a defensive backs coach I think he's with the Raiders. He has a good reputation as a coach. He's not going to have any problems finding a job, even as he's a defensive coordinator. He could also, if something happens, he could be a secondary coach with a number of NFL teams. He shouldn't care about this show calls. He should just move on. And, maybe he's doing Pruitt a solid by hanging in there with him. I don't really know what his angle is, but it's holding all this up. And while I don't think it's going to screw Tennessee, because I think the NCAA, maybe this is me putting too much faith in them, they can differentiate between Tennessee and Pruitt and who's been helpful and who hasn't. But again, it is the NCAA, so it does have me a little nervous that Pruitt is going to screw the whole thing and Tennessee ends up with these major penalties.
Yeah, all that was well said. There's a number of reasons why Pruitt would go for this that I completely get. Ansley, I have no idea. Why would you not want to just leave this behind and say, I'll go be? I mean, he is a defensive coordinator for the Chargers. Like, that's not they're not. It's not like he's a defensive coordinator for the Browns. Like, it's a pretty good team.
They're a playoff caliber team. Yeah,
and just let it go. I don't get it there. Pruitt, I obviously get it. And I mean, it could be just straight vindictiveness. It could be purely that he wants to get back into college football. It could be that he wants his money. I don't think ultimately almost any of that is going to happen. But the part that does scare me is the Tennessee involvement here, because I really do wonder if the NCAA tries to get their pound of flesh with NIL stuff here.
Farm Bureau Health Plans has been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years, and much has changed in Tennessee over the years, but some has stayed the same. Farm Bureau Health Plans has always valued personal relationships, especially when it comes to good health and good service. Plan on Farm Bureau Health Plans for health, dental, and vision. For better coverage, better rates, and better service, go to fbhp.com/ATOZ or walk into one of their 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. That is fbhp.com/ATOZ. Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Because Tennessee has flipped around, and yes, they were completely cooperative in all of this, and they obviously, I've expressed my opinion here. They should have just paid Pruitt to go away. That was my original opinion. I still have that opinion, and it would have just been so much easier. We don't ultimately know if they could have done that, but it's what they should have done if they did have the ability to do that. But now they've cooperated in all this ways, but now the NCAA is scrambling to try to figure out how to punish people for NIL. Oh, you can't be giving athletes money. We can't have that happen. And so now they're scrambling to try to figure out how to do that. And they potentially have an opportunity to get Tennessee here, because what they've been doing is just reaching to low levels. They've been trying to hit Miami women's basketball, not non-revenue sports, stuff like that, college baseball. We saw obviously the BS with Tony Vitello and Maui Ahuna. They're trying to hit some of these spots, but I wonder if the NCAA tries to get opportunistic and they go, okay, well, we have kind of an open door to Tennessee here, even though they've cooperated. But Tennessee has turned around and been super brash about NIL, getting written up about $8 million with Nico, and obviously they're now, given state laws and things like that, working directly with Spire Sports and the collectives there. I wonder if the NCAA tries to get at Tennessee that way. That's obviously me being paranoid, and it comes from that same place of where I was talking about earlier, where you just go, where's the thing? Where is the catch here? Where Tennessee's going to get got? But that does it concerns me a little bit that maybe the NCAA tries to get out over their skis, tries to get Tennessee here because they have the opportunity. Can they do that? I don't really know, but I would put it this way. I wouldn't put it past the NCAA. The NCAA is the biggest crock of BS that's led by a bunch of morons, and now it's some new moron. I don't. The new president guy is some other loser that they've hired, some idiot who, hates himself, and we all hate him. I don't know. It's a dying organization that's in its death throes, and do they try to, in their final moments, reach out and try to get Tennessee here? I don't know, but I'm paranoid enough to think that they might, because it's the NCAA and it's Tennessee. But it's just gonna have to play out in the. I mean, it's not a court of law, but just play out in the courts here, in the old NCAA courts.
I just don't understand why you would even, if you're the NCAA, why would you even want the possibility of Tennessee having these penalties or anything like that? I mean, Tennessee being good is good for college football, in the same sense that Miami being good would be good for college football, or Nebraska, or any of these number of programs that were wildly successful in the 90s and early 2000s. I mean, it just brings parity to the sport. Nobody likes seeing Georgia win these back-to-back championships. Nobody wants to see Alabama, even Clemson. There's fatigue with that. You want to see these college, when it expands, you want to see that postseason tournament, play out like the NCAA tournament just did, where you have no clue what's going to happen. Nobody hardly predicted. I'm sure somebody out there did, but nobody really predicted that San Diego State and UConn would play in the final, or that you'd have a Final Four without a top 3 seed in it. I mean, those are just things that are unique to college basketball that would be fun to see in college football. And Tennessee getting up there makes that happen. It steals recruits from Georgia, and it levels the playing field for everybody. It's good for the sport. Why would you want to handicap them and set them back? And that goes for any college football program. It's not just Tennessee. I don't understand the logic, especially now with NIL, where nobody's even batting an eye at a player getting money. Nobody cares because it's so prevalent. It's all legal if you do it the right ways through NIL. It's just not a problem anymore. And it has to be an ego thing with the NCAA because it's not good for the sport in any way at all, and it doesn't move the sport forward.
Yeah, that is the thing with the NCAA that will always be the I guess the rogue element is that there is no logic. You look at their history and then assess this situation with Tennessee, and you tell me what they might do. It's been all over the place. I mean, there is no evidence to show that cooperating with them does anything for you. There's no evidence to show that not cooperating with them really does anything all that bad for you. There's no evidence to show that they'll be logical here. There's no evidence to show how illogical they will be, because there's been situations where you go like, of course you would punish these people, and then they don't. And then there's situations where you go like, he'll probably get off scot-free, and then you get a 10-year show cause. Donnie Tyndall or some situation like that, to draw on a Tennessee example there. Who knows what they're going to do. Get this over with. This is so stupid. And Pruitt, obviously a part of me believes that this has to be some vindictiveness from Pruitt, still trying to stick it to Tennessee, sticking the screws to Tennessee. He's an Alabama guy till his dying day. He never should have been hired here in the first place. And when he was fired, he should have just been fired and told to get out. Here's your check. Have a nice day. And they didn't do that. And so here we are. Just get this over with. And, it's not like we can force the NCAA to do that. So we'll just have to see what happens. We'll obviously watch. When is this hearing supposed to be?
April 19th through 21st in Cincinnati, which is a very random location. I'm not sure the backstory on that, but
I'm sure there was just a conference room at a Ramada Inn available there that they could get. I don't know. But
knowing the NCAA, they chose the hotel that had the free breakfast. That's literally just stuff sitting under heat lamps.
Of course, it's just going to be in the little table in a hotel room.
Yes.
That's where
orange juice with way too much pulp.
Yeah, but we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll talk about any updates that come out of it.